Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here for Simon Says Stamp. Today I have a really fun set of cards. These are easy stamped florals using the brand new kit, February 2022. Simon Says Stamp card kit is up and going. This is called the Seasons of Sentiment, and this kit is full of sentiment stamps. A beautiful orchid rose bouquet stamp. It's huge. It's a 6x8, and I'm doing a bunch of cards. So we got 4 cards with the same stamp set, and they all have a little different look. And I hope you really like this video because I think you'll be able to get more cards out of this kit by just utilizing the stamp set. So first up, we're going to start by doing a gray tone. We have the Simon Says Stamp embossing watermark ink along with a silver embossing powder, also from Simon. Absolutely love their embossing powder. Got my little spoon and the fog cardstock included in the card kit, and we're going to use the orchid rose bouquet that I had mentioned. So I have 2 pieces of cardstock. I have the fog and then a Neenah white that I stamped the orchid, and honestly this is such a huge stamp set that I used my Misty stamp positioner to be sure that I got it nice and clean lines when I stamped. And I used a gray, actually it was fog ink, also from Simon, and I ended up using Copics to color the orchids. So to begin, I have another slab here of the fog cardstock, and using a little bit of the embossing body, I'm going to place some on the fog, and then using the other stamp set. So you have 2 stamp sets included in this kit. It's a Simply Thank You. It's like a little stamp set 3x4, and it has a bunch of little sentiments. I really like it because it has some bold, like a bolder script on it, and it makes it pop up. I'm gonna do some heat embossing with silver and then trim this into a nice little strip sentiment, which is going to be placed over the whole thing. So I'm going to trim that up here with my paper trimmer. We're going to add foam adhesive to the back and set aside. So back to the stamps, you see I have stamped that orchid onto the fog, and this is a 5.5, 4 1/4, using a very similar dark gray ink. And then onto a piece of Neenah white, I stamped the same orchid, fussy cut around the edges, added foam to the back, and placed that over on the opposite side of the orchid, so it kind of overlayers it and it makes it look just a little more put together. So I have a piece of silver thread that I have kind of winded into a nice little circle, and using the backer of my foam adhesive, gonna use that to attach the little thread here, and then we're going to place that over on the center of the card. And because my strip of cardstock is already 4 1/4, it fits really nicely. And then to finish off, I'm going to top up with some silver gems, also available on the Simon Says Stamp store, and I'm going to list all the products down below. So we're going to move on to our next card, but let me bring this in a little bit closer so you can see the coloring. And I'm really loving this gray tone on tone with some Copic coloring. It brings the whole thing together, and just a subtle "You're Amazing" card. Next, we have a non-coloring black and white card, also using the Orchid Rose Bouquet. So I had mentioned I used my Misty, and one of the things that I can suggest when creating cards with the stamps kit is to use that Misty and just leave it on it. You would be surprised that all these cards were used using the same stamp set, and then not really having to move it, just kind of cleaning it off and stamping, you know, different colors of ink. So I have some Neenah 110-pound cardstock, which is just some really nice white cardstock that is Copic friendly, but in this case we're not going to color. So I ended up having to do several layers of this black. I really need to re-ink my ink pad. But we're just going to move on to just kind of finishing it up. I did about 2 or 3 times on this, and we're going to pull it up, and I really need to be careful and let it dry for just a couple seconds so you don't end up getting your fingers inky and then, you know, placing it all over. So now that we have this beautiful clean image, we're going to crop the edges of it. I have a piece of black cardstock over on the side. It's 5.5, 4 1/4. I just kind of love that A2 sizing for cards, and I'm going to trim the edges off of this stamp cardstock, and we're going to place the stamp cardstock over the black just using some flat adhesive. We're not going to raise this panel or anything, and place it with the included adhesive in the Simon card kit. So back to that Simply Thank You stamp set, which is at 3x4. we have that Be Well, which is a nice clean image, and I just thought it was a nice sentiment for this card. It's just very clean and very simple. Loving the black and white styling of it. And we're gonna do some embellishment with some clear water droplets on this. Just thought that I didn't want to add any more color, but I wanted to add some embellishment to it. So using my fingers, we're gonna lift these up and move on to our next card. So next card that I have here for you is a You Are Wonderful Copic colored. Again, same image, but look how much different this one looks. I ended up coloring the full thing onto Neenah 110-pound cardstock. So we're going to begin with the Orchid Rose Bouquet that has been stamped onto some Neenah 110-pound cardstock. Then I have this gorgeous rose ink, cardstock, also from Simon, and we're going to utilize this for our sentiments. So I have the You Are Wonderful from the Orchid Rose Bouquet. It has a couple sentiments and it has these really pretty like scripty words. We're going to stamp that using our Simon Says Stamp watermark embossing ink and then some silver embossing powder, and we're going to trim that up into a nice rectangle, add some vellum on the back, and then add a double piece of foam adhesive to that, and that's going to be placed right over our colored image. I gotta tell you, it did take me about 10 minutes to color maybe this Copic coloring, but the way that it really pops out is because I outlined it with some dark grays. As you can see, I have these dark grays all around the leaves and the orchids, and it just brought the whole thing together. But by utilizing a light colored cardstock, it makes it pop up, and then added a couple of those silver sequins that we added earlier. And then last but not least, we're going to keep it very simple with very easy coloring. We're going to stamp this image using our Misty, like all our other cards, except I use a light khaki ink, and then used 2 pieces of washi tape to mask that center piece, and then Copic colored it. Next, we have another piece of acetate, which is like that clear film that you use for shaker cards. I haven't made shaker cards in forever, so I'm going to use it here because I don't want to hide the contrast of having colored and uncolored. So by using the acetate is going to give it a little bit of shine, and then I'm going to do my heat embossing right over it. So I'm going to use another of the Orchid Rose Bouquet sentiments on this one using my watermark embossing ink. This one says thank you. And then for our embossing powder, I have the Simon Says Stamp gold embossing powder. We're going to place that right over the vellum, the acetate. And one of the things that I can suggest here is that you use your embossing buddy, your cornstarch, to remove any staticness from this, just because it does tend to kind of hold on to it. Then I heat emboss it, and look how cool that looks. So I raised it so you could see that it's attached, but I just really love the way this turned out. It's very clean and very simple, yet very elegant. And guys, that does it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me on this video using the Orchid Rose Bouquet stamp sets from the February 2022 card kit, now available on the Simon Says Stamp store. I'm going to link all the products I use down below. And if this is your first time watching any of my videos, please give this a thumbs up and click the subscribe button. This supports me create more videos for you and for Simon. And don't forget to, again, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And then I have another video for you using the pattern paper from the February 2022 card kit. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you later.